Just sit right back and hear them tell of a vodcast crew who gather around their mighty drink to give their point of view. As man is the panel fire, he shows that he has fun, and Johnny our host will jump along, guiding us through the storm, guiding us through the storm. Big T's our rocky keeps us true, he often gets his say, and just alive he knows the girls and everything Dragons win, and everything Dragons win. The Mad Dragon Vodcast is a journey unforeseen, with Tasman and Johnny too, and there's Big T and Coco, just the start, Mazza and the other crew, here on the Mad Dragon Vodcast.
Well, good evening, everyone, and welcome to a special off-season edition of the Mad Dragons podcast. I'm pretty sure it's a first to be here in the off-season, but it is a special one-off show. We do have a special guest in the house. We do welcome head coach of the St George Illawarra Dragons. Welcome, Flanno Flanagan. Thank you for joining us tonight.
No problems. It was a bit delayed, but we finally got there.
Yep. All right. First of all, so I'll just give everyone there the outset that they're watching as well. So there'll be a question each. We'll see if we can get time for some viewer questions towards the end. But we'll start proceedings with each panel member getting a question for you at a time. But I'll start with my question. So I was just watching our local news down here in Wollongong about an hour ago, and there was Daniel Anderson on there. They were talking to him about recruitment and what his plan is. So for recruitment, how do you identify, do you sit down with Daniel or any football staff, or how you identify which player you'd like to go after and want to try to get to the club? How does that process work?
Well, I suppose it depends what sort of level they're at NRL level. If they're coming into our top 30, obviously I've probably got a good knowledge of them. I don't have to watch too much tape or, familiarise myself with, the young man. So we're pretty much up to speed. Then we see a lot of players, we watch a lot of reserve grade and stuff during the year. A lot of players and managers send their tapes to us during the year. And so I'm pretty across, most squads, especially most clubs, top 36 or, 40 players. It's probably more just younger ones coming, young ones within our system. We know a fair bit about. They're either in academies or in the program somewhere along the line. Matthews Cup, SG Ball, Jersey Flag. So I've got a good knowledge of those. It's probably more the external players that we need to be. We have talent scouts, and obviously Daniel gets out and watches junior rep games on the weekend, and we've got a couple of coming on this year, so I think we'll be okay in that space. Then some people out in the country, which is important. Young kids that mightn't make SG Ball or Matthews Cup, but are playing for their local team. Some of them, 16, 17-year-olds playing A grade. So we need to be across all of that, and we're definitely getting better.
Yep. All right. Big T, you want to go ahead?
I'll have a go. Thanks for joining us, Shane. It's absolutely fantastic having you here. We've had some high-profile Dragons on before, but you're the highest. Just want to ask you, what were your thoughts on the 2025 season, and what did you see in this season that will help you shape next year?
It was one of frustration. I thought that we competed well in all but 2 or 3 games. The Dolphins, the Roosters, and probably Panthers last game. I thought we'd sort of run out of puff a little bit in that game. So out of the 26 games, I thought we competed pretty well in 23 of them. Injuries hurt us to key players. Yeah. We didn't have the elite depth. When we lose a Val Holmes or Moses Sully, Jaden Sewer, even the 2 Couchmans to lose, Ryan in round 1 hurt, Dill Egan to lose him in round 10 hurt. We just beat the Broncos that day. And we just couldn't. We had some young blokes come in, but they weren't the same calibre or at the same level at the moment. So whilst we competed okay, I thought, the injuries killed us. And then, to be really fair, we had some tough decisions from the bloke in the middle a few times.
Exactly.
Yeah,
We
we've got to be better.
We talked about that often.
Yeah. We've got to be better than that, and because I think every side has a few of them. I think we had our more than a fair share, but we've got to be able to come bad decisions during the year. Some of them were our bad decisions. There was one particular one that stands out for me. Canterbury at Olympic Park. We led for 78 minutes. Bad defensive decision. With 2 minutes to go, they score in the corner. We've got to be better than that. We tried, effort was outstanding, but execution in crucial stages just let us down a little bit. And so really frustrating. I thought players that we brought in this year in Gutho and Cookie and Val, even though Val missed half the year, I thought Gutho and Cookie did a really good job from what we asked them to do from a leadership perspective, especially what we knew that was coming through. All those young boys needed senior players around them. At different stages, I had 8 to 9 players that played S2 ball last year. So Hamish Stewart, Dill Egan, Couchman, Nick Sagaris, Hayden Buchanan, they've all come through, but to play them at the same time is the challenging thing for me as a coach. They can't get it done. Whilst they're good players and good kids, all in the team, an NRL team at the same time, you're not going to win too many games. You need some experienced, hard-nosed players and scatter some young kids around them. So frustrating in those areas, I'd say. Injuries, decisions, and young players being in too early.
Oh, thanks. Thank you for that.
All right, Billy. Rob. Rob, you got your question next. What's your question for Shane?
A bit of reminiscing, Shane. The old man used to work doing insurances for the Dragons back in the 70s and the 80s. Very good close mates. He's passed away. Close mates with Johnny Bailey, Beagle Bailey. I'm sure you remember Johnny Bailey. And Johnny Chapman. At West back in the day. But, mate, I just want to say congratulations to you on the extension, mate. I did an article in the Mercury supporting you. So I was so happy that you're our coach, mate. And I know it's, Rome wasn't built in a day. So I know that we'll get there. We'll get into the finals and we'll get back up there again under yourself. I just want to say well done to Kyle Flanagan, your son, because I thought what Ben Hunt did to us was terrible, basically walking out on us. Didn't want to be with us anymore. But I'm excited about Daniel Atkinson, mate. I think Kyle's done an admirable job, obviously, at halfback, but I can see, I'm guessing, is Atkinson going to be the man to steer the ship with Kyle next season and run the team around the park?
Yeah, the first bit, thank you on the extension bit. I think as a club, don't get me wrong, the last 12 months or since I've been at the Dragons, it's not what I want. I want to play semi-finals, and I've been through this situation before at the Sharks. That I took over in 2010, and by 2012, every year we play semi-finals, and I think they have since it there as well. And you need to set that up. We're in the setup stage. We've set it up. Next year, I'd like to think that we go better again. We went backwards a little bit this year when you talk about the table, but we just talked about injuries and so on that affected us, and young players playing first grade. So moving forward with Daniel Atkinson, he's a bit of a surprise packet, I hope, because he didn't play at all this year. As soon as he signed with us, the Sharks only used they used their 4 spine players, Brayley, their 2 halves, and obviously their fullback, and Kennedy. They played every game together all year bar one. Wow. So they didn't have any injuries in their spine. There was one game that Nico missed that Atkinson went in, and Atkinson went on in a couple of games as a centre. Went in at different positions. But if you go back 12 months when we signed him, he was actually winning games for the Sharks. He kicked a field goal. I remember in a semi-final. He was actually making breaks and winning games for the Sharks and being part of the winning part. So hopefully we're getting a player that. I know he's definitely hungry. He's a young a lovely young man and motivated, and he's definitely coming to us without a big season behind him, and he's super motivated to get it done. If you talk about what position he plays, I'll just have to see how he goes. My theory on that is, I've got a 7 and a 6. What number on their back is really not important. Kyle's probably that organising half. He's not a game breaker, as I would call him, as a half. He's a game manager. So, hopefully Atkinson can be that bit that can, make breaks and, be that little bit of point of difference for us. Obviously, Lycan, come through this year, had some good moments, but had some not so good moments. But remembering he's 19 years of age, so he'll only get better, or 20 years of age, he'll get better. So I'd like to think that Daniel coming into us is something new and fresh, and I'm excited.
And he spent some time with Bellamy at Storm too, mate. So it's a good coach to be under. He's
a good sized as well. Like as a half, he's got good strength through his hips and he can break tackles. He's got a good kicking game. He's a right-sided player, so that's all. It's all good for us. If it is Kyle and Kyle's played enough on the left, he can get it done on the left. So I'm excited by it, and hopefully he can take us to where we need to go.
And he kicks field goals too, Flanno.
Yes, which we need.
Yeah, 100%. 6 games he lost, mate, by 6 points, and 3 by 1, I think it was, mate. So, how many games were we so close in, like what you said? But things are
we actually only went for 1 field goal. It's not like we can't kick them. We never got ourselves in a position to kick them. The game that sticks in my mind is South Sydney. It was a period of time. South Sydney were awful at the stage, and they just threw it to their halfback, and he didn't know what to do, and he just kicked a field goal with about 7 or 8 minutes to go, which ended up being the difference. We did score after that, and we just couldn't get into position to have a shot. And then the dreaded day at Parramatta Stadium where Zach kicked the field goal. So it was only twice we got in those positions, but it's something that we need to work on. We practiced it a fair bit, but didn't get to execute it.
Well, thank you for your question, Rob. Up next, we've got Billy. Your question for Shane.
Yep. Hey, Shane, my question for you is the Bruce Gordon Centre of Excellence is being built. What advantage will this give our squad in terms of elite high performance?
A lot of people, talk about high performance facilities, and you can't rely on them to make any difference, in results. What it will do is bring us all as a club under the one roof. We're too divided. When I say divided, only by distance. We try our hardest to do that connection piece, with all our staff, our CEO, all our membership, marketing are all at Cobra. So that's a real disconnect. From the football perspective, to have the facilities that we're going to have a super modern gym, which the Dragons haven't had since we're 25 years basically, because we've been at Wollongong. And whilst we extended that last year, and it's a pretty good gym, it's a good working class gym. We're going to have a new gym, physiotherapy, hot and cold, a lap pool, our field straight outside, viewing areas. It's going to give us that bit of a point of difference and elite. When we're talking to other players, I think now maybe the Sharks are the only one, us and the Sharks are the only ones that haven't got high performance facilities. And it hasn't worried the Sharks, but definitely it's something from a recruitment perspective. Everyone in the same building, even we talk about it, just the connection piece from different staff members. We have welfare managers. We have our CEO that is in another building, an hour's drive from our playing group. So little conversations that you can have in the hallway and, when you're sitting down having lunch are so important from a club. So I think it's going to make a big difference, not only the training, but the connection piece as a club.
Yeah, 100%.
All right. Next, we've got. Are you good now, Coco?
Oh yeah, I'm here.
She's on the bus.
You off the bus?
Yes.
She muted
Okay.
herself.
Mr. Flanagan,
There you
thank
go.
you for having this opportunity to talk to you. I know your frustration with the year. I was just wondering for next year for the 2026 season, with the haters telling everyone that we're going to be wooden spooners, what are you going to, how are you going to make that not an outcome for us? Are you going to be strict with the boys with saying no alcohol for the season, boot camps? So what's your idea for 2026, please?
Like when you talk about alcohol, I've got a group that it's not a real big part of it.
Okay.
Yeah, so I don't really have to deal with that. When you talk about the people, talking about wooden spoon, they said that for the last 2 years. I
Yeah.
can guarantee you will not get the wooden spoon. So there's no way in the world we'll get better again next year. And that's the thing I've known about Dragon supporters. Like as I said, I grew up, played my junior footy at the Dragons, made my debut at the Dragons. Is they're passionate and they want to win. If we've gone through a period, obviously, some of us weren't born. 66 was the first one, I think. 56 was the first one, maybe, when they went on that streak. And a lot of those. So I spoke to a bloke during the week. His dad just passed away. He's 100 years old, and he's been so staunch about the Dragons, and all his family is staunch about the Dragons. They live at Carlton, and I love that. But Dragon supporters want success, and so do I. But we've got to just remember not to eat ourselves. The players are trying hard. I 24 hours a day, I'll do it if I can. We're all trying our best. The board, the chairman, all the coaching staff are trying their best. Yet the missing piece for us is a couple of players, and that's the job. That's why we've made this big change. New CEO, new CFO, new obviously Daniel Anderson coming on board. There's a lot of change happening at the Dragons in the last 12 months. We've had a lot of young kids make their debut. So everything is looking like it's going up. I'm not saying be patient because I want success straight away as well. But the club is trying its hardest to get us back to where we were and make us that big, strong club again. And we are a big, strong club, but results don't resemble where we should be.
Yeah.
Thank you. That was a good answer. Thank you so much. Wish you all the best for 2026.
Thank you. Yeah,
Right.
We won't get the spoon, don't you worry.
Oh, that's good. You know what? Break a chair, get aggression into them, just do whatever, break a door,
Yeah.
make
We'll
them
be a
scared of
lot.
you.
To be like, I think some of them are, but we've done our planning we start back on the 3rd of November. I've changed a lot of things. We've got a new strength and conditioning. We've got a new strength coach. We've got new physio. We've got a new head of data and science. Bit of a change in our football department now as well. But the biggest thing in our football department is the change that I'm going to make in the way that we train. We're going to train a lot harder. We've got a new boxing coach. We're going to box twice a week. That's going to be hard and mentally tough. So I'm going to make sure I change and hopefully the players are probably the fittest. Excuse me. You'd probably see a bit of media about the Broncos. The Broncos. The coach up there said, I'm going to train as hard. And at one point, they complained about this is ridiculous, and they nearly went over the edge. And they went and saw the coach and said, look, we love your passion and how fit you want us to be and how hard you want us to train. And I think it was Ben Hunt and Adam Reynolds, and they had a discussion. But guess what? Their preseason and how hard they trained set them up to win a competition. And to be the strongest and fittest and mentally tough as you can be is so important in this game these days, and that's where we're going to get to.
Yep. All right. Thank you for that question, Coco. Who have we got next? We've got
Scoop.
Scoop. That's right, Scoop.
Scoop looks like he's in the bunker.
He is in the bunker.
He's our referees expert.
Yeah, he looks like he's in the bunker.
Yeah. Go on, Scoop.
Nice seeing you again, Coach Flanno, for this year, because we did talk early during the year at the high tea for the elderly. So my question is, for the squad selections for the game day matches, does it you or the board or coaching staff make the selections on who
On
plays?
team selections?
Yeah.
On team selections? Was that the question on team selections?
Yeah, team
Yeah.
selections.
The board have no impact on. They have a bit of impact, like there's communication about recruitment and retention, but they don't stick their nose in there, and which that's not part of their charter. So, but there's some people on there that I really respect their opinion in. In business, in football, we've got Mark Coyne on the board, Ben Cray on the board. Peter Dowse has been around footy for a long time. So we've got some really smart people on there as well. But, they don't get involved in recruitment or retention, and definitely don't get involved in selection. Selection is done by the three coaches, myself, last year Dean Young and Ryan Kerr. But to be really honest, teams select themselves, players select themselves. Yep. There's communication with our leaders, Gutho and Cookie. If I was going to make a change, I would think about it long and hard. I'm not going to make change just for the sake of it. If I think they're the best player, we'll put them in. Sometimes form, is tricky. But are they out of form or are they playing to their natural ability? We need to decide that. But three coaches select the teams weekly. Hopefully we get it right most of the time.
Thank you for answering my question.
Players pick teams week in, week out. Some of those young boys, Jacob Palangard, Loco Tonga, I had conversations with them, round 5 or 6, saying that, listen, you're going to play first grade, but you need to fix up A, B, C. Excuse me. And when you do fix up those things, you'll play first grade. And they, to their credit, those young boys, they go away and work hard, work on those things, and guess what? They all play first grade. But you got to make sure. I know the fans thing, and got to put some trust in who I put out there. But believe me, at the time, they're the best players, I believe, and best informed players to represent the club.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Benny. Benny, so what's your question for Shane?
Yeah, g'day, Shane. Thanks for coming on, mate. Really appreciate it. You answered a little bit of my question earlier. It's around the injuries that we had this season and a little bit about fitness as well. Considering all the injuries we had and the younger players that had to get pulled up through the grades, will there be any changes to the preseason training that you do to make sure that we're as fit as we can possibly be? And also, will that extend down through the lower grades? So when you are pulling these players up, they're going to be close to 80-minute footballers, because obviously the step up to first grade is massive. And yeah, I think we struggled a little bit with that during the season, just, coming towards the end of the game, running out of gas. And a lot of it was, emergency sort of stations with the injuries we had. But is that something that you're focused on for this preseason coming in?
I've definitely changed it. As I said, we've got a few specialised programs in relation to speed. And I think a few players need to concentrate a little bit more on the speed side of things rather than on the conditioning side of things. For example, Kyle, Gutho, Cookie, Val, Jacob Little, they can run all day. They don't need the conditioning side of things. They're not. So their pre-season training focus is speed. Jacob Little's fast, but we want to keep him fast. He doesn't need conditioning. There's some other players we're just fine-tuning what the individual needs. And some other boys need to change the body composition, lose weight. And we've addressed that all prior before they left, and they've been given some real hard targets to come back at and what we expect them to come back at. But to answer your question, we'll be training a lot harder. I've employed a boxing coach, which is for a number of reasons, our fitness, off-feet conditioning. I had him when he was at the Sharks. He coaches Costa and Nikita Zoo. So the Zoo boys, he's at Rockdale PCC. Mark Gambin, he'll come on, got real good experience, and he's going to get us fitter. But more importantly, he's going to get them mentally tough. in that boxing stuff, because it does bring out, it gives you confidence, boxing, and it also, gives out that mental toughness. And so there's definitely some components of our training that's going to change. And as I said earlier, I'm going to take more responsibility in that space, especially in the lead up, the November, December, January, February, as a bit leading into Vegas. We've got to be better and stronger. But long enough this year. I don't think our gym was a concern. I reckon we could be a bit fitter. But there's some things there that, we had some players that were injured, and the other boys that come in probably would not have played at that point because they were too young or inexperienced, and they only got a game because of injury. And some of the boys that were injured for long periods of time, like Harme, Sele, and Christian Tupolotto, we just tried to get them back, which in hindsight was negative. But, they were never fit enough because they were always injured and were always in rehab. And as soon as they got out of rehab, we basically had to put them in there because they were experienced. See, Christian Tupolotto was experienced and big, and same Harme. But if everyone else was fit, they wouldn't have played. They would have been back on the training paddock and getting fitter. So it's a tough one when you get injuries, that sometimes you play players earlier than they should be playing for experience, but also conditioning. You're playing players that could do with a little bit more training, but we need them at the moment. So it's a tough one to answer, but, give you some clarity around it. We'll be, without a doubt, we're going to train that hard this year, conditioning-wise, and be a lot fitter.
Yeah, beautiful. Yeah, I actually like the boxing coming into it, because I think if we can have a bit more mongrel out on the field, it'll definitely go a long way. Some of the packs we're coming up against are pretty big and aggressive. So, I think that was a little bit lacking this year. But like you said, a lot of younger players. So, looking forward to 2026. Thanks, mate.
Well, when you talk about bigger players, when I talk to other clubs, some people involved in other clubs, everyone says to me about how big we are. Like if we put our best side on, we are a big team. If some of the young boys, we're a big footy team, and we can get forward. We just probably lack a little bit of speed every now and again, depending on our team. But Val helps that. Maybe another winger helps that. So there's definitely something we can work on.
Yeah,
we've got a question there from one of our panel members there, Flanno. Do you need a water boy for Vegas? We're all available.
Yeah, there's been a few people put their hands up for that.
I'm happy to be water boy. I'm going.
Security, look after gear, pick up witches' hats. There's been quite a few people come from the woodwork that said they'll do anything.
I'll wash the jerseys.
Yeah, well, just when we get home.
I'm going to collect them first.
I saw the Vegas jersey first time today, a sample of it. It was outstanding. It's a bit different. We're allowed an opportunity to wear a different jersey in Vegas. Obviously, it's still the red V, but if you have a look at our jerseys, there's some of the branding on it is that company's colours, where our Vegas jersey is all red and white.
Cool.
And those companies allowed us, like Daycorp and Tripadil and Dynamoney and all them allowed us to, just for Vegas, to keep it straight red and white. And as I said, it looks a treat.
Nice. Just make sure I get
one this
right.
year.
What was that? Sorry?
I said just make sure they get the spelling right this time.
Yeah, I'll be checking.
Proofread.
Do it personally.
Mm.
Well, it looks like we've lost Hasman. He's dropped off again. So if he gets back,
technical issues.
Yeah. Is there anything else you want to ask there, Jess?
There was David Farley, who's recently been signed from young junior from Penrith. Can you tell us a bit about him and what you saw in him that you wanted to bring to the club?
Yeah, we had him on our radar for a while, and we had maybe one or two other young ones in Penrith reserve grade that weren't getting a go. Their first grade side's obviously pretty established, and everyone looks at they've got a big nursery out there. And David had been on our radar for a while, and then if you remember back, I think it may be the second last round or third last round that Penrith rested everyone, and David it was against the Bulldogs.
It was.
And David played against Crichton, handled himself really well, made a good line break. He's 24, I think, so he's not a baby. Yeah, he's definitely big. He's tall. He's 6'4", and he's going to be a bit of a project, but an exciting one. If he comes up, he's going to be a real good player.
Yep. Anyone else got some questions for Shane?
Yeah. Personally, for me, what I want to know is what a game week preparation looks like for you and staff. Obviously, my career path is to want to be at an NRL club. Obviously, with my club, but with any NRL club would be good. So I would just like to know what goes into game week.
A game week? Well, the first bit is recovery and review. The game's so intense these days that the players, the recovery process, and depending on your turnaround, whether it's we only had 2 5-day turnarounds, I think, this year, a 6-day turnaround or a 7-day turnaround. So you basically work back from the next game. Captains run the day before, which is being shortened a little touch. Some players do a little bit, some players do a little bit more. Then there's a day off. Then there's our main day, which is 3 days prior. We do a lot of scrimmage and we play against our reserve grade, simulate opposition strengths, simulate how we want to play offensively. So there's a bit of work goes into that day. They've got strength on most of those days, physio, video, little small group meetings. There's a lot go into a week. Edge attack, edge defense, game planning, review. We've got to do our review. So sometimes it's a team review, sometimes it's group review, small group reviews. So in season, it's just a rat race, to be really honest. It's just, a lot of things you've got to get done. And if you, depending on your turnaround, some weeks can be really tricky. And, then all of a sudden you got to start talking about game load. Was it there a lot of ball in play? Was it heavy contact? Did we have a few injuries? Was it in the daytime in the sun? There's so many different factors. Some players lose maybe 3 to 4 kilos per game. There's been more. I've lost over 5 kilos per game. So that's part of the recovery process. So there's a bit goes into it, and obviously injury management. It all helps if you win. Makes the weekend really enjoyable, obviously.
Thank you for that.
Benny, you said you had another one?
Yeah, Shane. The top 4 teams always seem to get the rub and green with officials, and the media, are all over them. But I've felt that the media and officials and they really give us a hard time. Is that something that you notice as coach? And how do you handle that? And is there any avenues that you can pursue, or people within the club that can pursue, so that we can start getting a bit more of that rub of the green, and the media sort of, are a bit nicer to us? Because, we just seem to pop it every year.
Yeah, I've got I think one thing can only fix that, and that's win more footy games. And as you said, the top 4 teams, haven't got the spotlight on them. Things are going pretty well. And we probably deserve a little bit of the stuff that we get, negative publicity, because we've got such a passionate fan base and a big fan base. And all of our fans don't want to be where I don't want to be where we are. But football is a cycle, and we're at the bottom of the cycle, and we're on the way up. So we just got to, how quick we get there is the challenge. But we're definitely on the way up cycle, and that's what we need to do. And the only way to stop all that noise is definitely win.
Yeah.
And the other bit, is there any people that can help us in there? Our book chairman is outstanding in that space, and our new CEO will be out punching and fighting as hard as he can. But those two, as leaders of the club, will definitely be out there not letting us get punched if we don't deserve it.
Yeah, no, cool. Appreciate it. Cheers.
I've got one there, Jess. On the recruitment side, we've got our youngsters coming through, but how do you assess the risk between signing our youngsters, like signing them onto a new deal, and recruiting proven talent?
Yeah, it's a tricky one because all those young ones you talk about, like I'll compare, say, Hamish Stewart, maybe to a D-League, they're going to grow and progress at different rates. One might, or the Couchmans, the two twins will probably be pretty close to each other, but their progression, their position also makes a difference. Like I know front row's hard; it's really, really hard. But the skill scope and the job description is tight. Is not big, but geez, it's hard to play. Where if we're talking about a centre or a halfback or a 5'8", their job description is a lot bigger, and they've got to get it done. So it's a tricky one because, as I said, you don't want. I want to have and people might maybe criticise me for going and buying older players, but we've got to have young players learn off someone. And, a lot of young players and the people we brought in, David Clemmer was outstanding. Like he didn't break too many tackles or score tries or anything this year. But I tell you what, he taught some players how to prepare, how to be mentally tough, play week in, week out, not take a backward step. So, those things are done sometimes for a reason, not probably. People might go, "What did you sign David Clemmer for? Hasn't scored a try or made a break for a lot of years."
Yeah.
Well, there's some other things that go with it.
Exactly right.
So that go unnoticed.
I was going to ask about Clem. There's rumours around he's staying for another year.
Yeah, we haven't re-signed him. At the moment we can't. We've got some other focuses. It might happen down the track, and it might happen in January, February. I'm not quite sure. He's a good man, and he did a really good job for us. Low maintenance, and we know what we're going to get. We're not going to get a tackle buster, try scorer, but we're getting a really good person and a front rower and a good teacher.
Yeah, thank you very much. That was great.
Pleasure.
Hasman, it looks like we finally
got him back.
You're with us at last.
Yeah, finally got it sorted.
All right, you got a question for Shane?
So Shane, thanks for coming on the show. Just got a quick one. We did have a pretty ordinary injury toll last year, and we did get to see some of the Generation Next as a result of that. Were that to happen again, is there do you have a few guys in mind that that didn't play last year that you might look at bringing in?
I'm thinking on my feet here. We used a lot this year. We used more than any other club. I think we debuted 8, which is a lot. And a lot of those 8 played together at the back end of the year. So I'm just trying to think about the next crew. There is some really good ones. Ollie Burton's a young fullback, but he's probably 2 years away. He gets a bit of first grade training this year. Cade Reid is a good half. Cade's he played in a trial against South Sydney in the Charity Shield last year and scored a try late in the game. Cade's got all the tactical and technical attributes as of a halfback. He's just tiny at the moment. When I say tiny, he's not short. He's a reasonable size for halfback. He's just got to put on some weight and some muscle mass, and that'll happen. So, as I said, everyone takes some time. He played Jersey Flag this year and New South Wales Cup. He could play first grade next year, but if he doesn't, I wouldn't say it's a bad year for Cade because he's got some real development in him. He's a 2 year, probably 2 years, he's going to be at his best. When you put so many in 1 year, 8 in 1 year, there's always going to be a bit of a void behind it or a bit of a gap. But I think obviously there's some really good kids in both areas. We've recruited some 2 twins from Penrith, back rower and a centre, which I think they'll go really well. Really solid. They're 2 different body shapes. The back rower is a Jacob Halengar who build, and the outside back is more of a probably similar size to Gutho, tall and athletic. So we've got some good kids coming through, and someone might jump out of the box. There's always someone jumps out of the box in those junior rep programs, that's for sure.
Yeah, all right.
Yeah, thank you.
Rob?
I know. I'd love to see mate coach and attract a real marquee top player, game breaker, a freakish player. I mean, I saw it at the Sharks. And just as a little example, Benny Barber. You know what I mean? You could be anywhere on the field and make something from nothing, and like a Choc Mundine back in the past. I mean, obviously you can see Reece Walsh for the Broncos. What he's done. Is there any chance? And I think it'll put bums on seats. And I think it'll get fans really excited. And I think it would help our team so much. And have a quality coach like you coaching a marquee player, mate. I know they're bloody hard to get, but is there any chance in the future we could score one?
Well, that's the job we're into now. November 1 is approaching quickly, and there's been speculation about I won't name them. But, we're after a high-profile forward, whether he's a front rower or whether he's a 13. I don't think we need edge-back rowers. I think we're okay in that space. But we need a marquee front rower / 13 middle forward.
So if I set an example, Tino?
Yep. We'll be in there. We're in that position. You said it, not me. But and then... we're in for a half. There's a couple there, and then we'll be looking, not marquee, but we're looking for an outside back, a centre winger, and then we'll be trying to get the other marquee. The 3 marquees we'll be aiming for is a fullback to take over from Gutho. We can move Gutho to the centre or wing, not next year, the year after. But they're the spaces we're looking at. And if we get 2 of those 3, we're on our way. But as I said, I push our commercial department and our recruitment and retention pretty hard that, we just got to keep going, and we'll get 1. And when we get 1, we'll get 2. And when we get 2, we'll get 2. See it.
Flanno, can I ask you quickly, mate? Luke Metcalf, he went to Endeavour Sports High. Did you coach him at the Sharks? Was he
I did, Yeah, I did. Yep.
Yeah, wow.
Spot
on there. Career.
Yep. He came through as at the Sharks when I was there. He's a year older than Kyle, I think.
He's 26, I think. 26.
Yeah. He's had some terrible run with some injuries. Like he had Achilles, I think it was, broke his leg, had some bad hamstring, and now he's had an ACL. So he's one that we're definitely looking at.
Okay, cool. Excellent.
And in that interview I was watching with Daniel Anderson before, Shane, they were saying he
doesn't give much away, Daniel.
He said he was looking looking at 4 recruits for 27, and he's setting the goal of you pushing for top 8, top 6 by then, like in the next couple of years.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Well, 27's our target year. Like from a recruitment and retention perspective, like now. We're going into November 1, but we got to understand all those players we're talking about won't be here till 27.
Yeah.
Unless something happens. We did. I didn't show in results, but we did really well last year in getting Cookie, Gutho, and Bell. Like that's to get 3 players at that standard in 1 year. We did really well. So our job now is to go and get 3 marquees for 27, and in 27. We'd like to think Hamish, Dill Egan, the Couchmans, all those boys are seasoned first graders, and we put our foot down and go hard.
So in saying that, Shane, how do your next 3 to 5 years look? Like obviously finals I think it has to happen next year. Otherwise there's going to be a lot of really disgruntled fans. It's been way too long not playing finals footy, but how do the next 3 to 5 years look? Do you see a GF in there somewhere?
Yeah, well, I know the fans will be disgruntled about if we don't make semi-finals, and I'll be upset about it too. But just remembering our plan is to go our recruitment program, and our target is to go hard 27, 28, because that's when we think our young kids are going to be ready to season first graders, and we can get some recruits. The squad we've got at the moment is not going to change too much. We've got 4 spots available for 26, but there's no elite players on the market at the moment. So there's elite players on the market for 27, and that's where we need to target. And, that's a little bit about me re-signing, about having a long-term vision and a plan. I want to play semi-finals next year, but the year after, it's not I want to, I am, or we must, or we are. So that's the language that I'll be using. But don't for 1 minute think I'm going to take my foot off the floor for next year.
Mate, you get some of those players that we were just talking about, and I know hush, third party person, you know what I mean, talk. It's going to make a big difference to the team, mate. That'll be awesome, absolutely awesome.
Yeah, well, it's important for us. We keep our young ones at the moment as well. Like we're hard negotiating, to keep Hamish Stewart and them are on for 26, maybe 27, but we're trying to extend them out into 28, 29, and to keep all those players, because long time after I've gone, those players will still be there. They're only young players starting their first grade career, and they're going to be the elite players of the club for the next 10 years. So we need to keep them as well. So it's while we've got to keep our eye on the target now, it's also about looking forward.
But you got good help now with Daniel Anderson, don't you? Which is correct.
Yep.
You got that backup now with him. He's a very good negotiator.
We'll see. We'll see if he gets a couple.
Yeah, we hope so.
Just a quick one for you, Shane. Tell us why you brought Michael Evans across.
The menace.
He's an ultimate competitor.
Yep.
He's got a good knowledge of football. When I got him to the Sharks, I got him from the Bulldogs. He was, probably a bit disgruntled at playing under Dazzy's football thing, and then he had 2 years for us, and in one of those years we won a final. And his competitive nature, his knowledge of the game, and he's trustworthy and reliable. They're probably the key points for me. And he played for the Dragons. So he's got a bit of wrestling in him.
I loved him when he was at the Dragons.
And people criticise him because that's what we do when people are on Fox and have comments about teams. But that's what he gets paid to do, make comments. But I think all the boys are really excited about having him on board because he's been there and done it as well. And not to say that you have to have that, but him and Dean have both played Origin. Mick's played for Australia. Dean did as well. So we've got two really experienced coaches there, and a bit different. They're both a bit different. So I think it'll be good for us.
Oh, cool. Yeah. I liked him when he was playing for the Dragons. Didn't like him when he was at the Bulldogs or the Sharks. So glad you brought him back.
No, he'll be good. As I said, I've got a good relationship with him.
Scoop,
one more question to ask, please. So, for liking Kintoga, is he going to be part of our future halves moving forward, or what's the update with him? I'd love to know.
I said earlier, Lycan had a sort of an indifferent season, I thought. He started slow. He came back. He played 4 games last year when Kyle got suspended, and he did an okay job there. And then I don't feel that he trained that hard in his off-season. He came back a bit overweight and a bit behind in everything he did. So he got off to a slow start in the season. And Lockie Ilias come and did a good job for the start of the season. And then I decided to make some change to him, put Lycan in, but it took him 8 or 9 weeks to get his motor going. So hopefully he understands that now. He's with the Tongan side at the moment, so he's getting Tongan side. And he's getting some experience that way. Hopefully he comes back really hungry and really fit. And ready to go because he's got some talent, Lycan. It's a bit of a see how Daniel Atkinson goes. Can Daniel play? Daniel could play 7, 6, not 13. Kyle's transition. The plan was for Kyle to go into 9 eventually down the track. So it really depends, how they all play. And as I said, they all know they're on notice. We've got some, competition in that spot at the moment, those half spots. So they all know they've got to work hard.
Billy?
One question that no one has asked yet is that we have signed Josh Kerr for next year. How impactful is he? He's got probably one of the quickest play the balls in the competition, can offload it. What will that do for the side?
Yeah, I'm glad you noticed that, and glad you mentioned it because it gets sort of a bit forgotten. Josh reached out to me halfway through the year and said he'd love to come back. and he could have stayed where he was. And I think, you know, some things like that are important, that he wants to come back, and he wasn't expensive. It definitely wasn't expensive from coming back perspective, and he has got one of the quickest play the balls in the competition. And one thing I know, we've got the quickest dummy halves in the competition in Jacob Little and Cookie. So with him in our team, they're licking their lips to get him some quick play the balls, and they can play on the back of it. So if you ask me about why did I sign Josh Kerr, because he wants to be a Dragon is one thing. What you said about on the field, and two is value for money, real value for money. We've just got to get him to play some bigger minutes and probably concentrate more so defensively, which I think Dean will get him to do. So, yeah, I'm excited to have him back.
Cool.
I got one more. I made you laugh, Flanno. I thought of an ex-player, mate, that you could get to help us with our players, mate. Top bloke, an ex-Sharky, but he'll be too expensive for you, mate. He especially could work with the forwards. Paul Gallen. But he'll come, mate. You'll want too much money.
Yeah, all the boys get sick of me talking about Paul Gallen. You know, about how tough he was. He was. We joke about it, but he was a super player, and I had a good relationship with him. And you know, I'd love to have that type of person in our club, and he'd never leave the Sharks. So just don't worry about putting him in the Dragons.
You won't come and help out, mate.
No, we couldn't do that. It's not going to happen. I haven't got enough money either.
Yeah. He likes the mill, Mr. Gallen.
Loves the money, yeah.
It was a good season for the New South Wales Cup team as well, Flanno. They went all the way to the grand final, but just fell up short. And the story of the year caught up with them in that game, and injuries as well.
Yeah, I probably think that Jacob Halangahu, appendicitis, Loco Tonga did his knee in the semi-final. He went out for 4 weeks. There's one other forward I can't remember who missed out, and then Nick Sagaris had had a bad ankle injury, and he played with it in that game and wasn't his best. So yeah, they just ran out just a couple of injuries, and obviously the appendicitis just came at a bad time, and they weren't their best on grand final day.
All right. Anybody else before we wrap it up? It's been almost an hour now, so I'm gonna thank Mr. Flanagan for his time.
No, Shane will do.
Shane's fine. That's great. Yeah. Or Flanno, right?
Thank you. It's been a pleasure.
Yep.
Go the Dragons.
We'll wrap it up with you, Shane. So, what would be your message to Dragons fans? What's your message to us going forward into next year? And what's your message to Dragons fans? Heading into next year, and how to remain optimistic of what lies ahead.
I think I've sort of said it a few times. Like, I'm not trying to kick anything down the road. There is a plan in place. A long term. When I say long term, a 2, 3, 4 year plan. We're going to hit the ground running next year. We're going to Vegas. We're going to try and play semi-finals. The following year, we'd like to think we've nailed a couple of marquee players, and our younger ones are another year older, and they're going to be maybe at their best. Be patient, but I fully understand that we want to win footy games, and that's my job, and I want to go out there and win footy games. But be proud of your team, be proud of your club. Sometimes it's, they're out there doing their best and they don't win. And all I'm asking is, I'm more competitive than anyone. I want to win every week. But one thing I know is I just want them to go out and play their best and represent the club as much as they can. And if the opposition are better than us on the day, I'll put my hand up and just say, listen, they were better than you, But as long as we compete hard and represent the club and the jersey, our fans, I'll be happy. But there is a plan, and we're definitely on that journey now, and hopefully everyone sticks with us because we're just started.
Hey, Flanno, I want to say good on you, mate, and people mightn't realise, mate, with the Sharks, you took them from the bloody bottom, right down the bottom to the top as well. First premiership at the Sharks as well too, mate. So,
and that's about talent, mate. Like I always say to people, I'm coaching way better than I was in 2016. I've got better staff around me. I'm coaching better. It's all about the talent and getting the talent at the right time. The young boys that we've got, they're not ready to win the grand final. Like, no matter how much we ask of them, the Couchmans, the Dill Egan's, Hamish Stewart, they're not ready to win a grand final. Like, we just got to understand that they can't do it. They're not capable of doing it. Not mature enough to do it. It's a long season. It's 26 rounds. And if you expect them to do it, you're supporting the wrong club. But they will be at some point down the track. They're going to be ready. They're going to be ready, and that's what we just need to understand. That. And when I was at the Sharks, I had the oldest team in the competition, but they were ready to go. They were all mature age, Benny Barbers, Mick Innes's, Gal, Matty Pryors and all them. They were ready to go. That was their time frame. No matter what we do at the moment, while we've got great kids, they're not going to win a comp at the moment. They will in the future.
So you're confident we can get a grand final in the next period?
Yes, I am.
Yeah, without a doubt. If we keep our recruitment and we have a little bit of luck in our recruitment and our juniors keep going, like as I said, D-League and Hamish, the Couchies, all of them are going to be 10-year NRL players. At some point, they're all going to be hit their peak, and at the same time, if we put some players around them, some elite ones around them, you talked about before about Benny Barber, if we get a player at the top of his game and the McInnes's and those type of things, we put some good players around him and they're right age to win, which they will be in a couple of years' time. That's when it's going to be enjoyable. And, people will look back and go, we had a couple of hard years, but it's taken time to get these players to where we needed to be. And we're not having a 5-year plan. We're educating them now. We want to win next year. We're going to be better the year after, and that's our year that we're going to try and win it.
27.
Yeah, beautiful. Sounds good.
Sounds great. All right. We could ask questions all night, Shane. We could be here for 3 or 4 hours. We've got millions and millions of questions. Well, that's been an hour. That's plenty of time. We've asked the questions. Thanks very much. Congratulations to Kyle. You can pass that on for us. For making the president's, the Prime Minister's 13.
Yep.
Yeah. I want to thank.
Organise something. I'll come on before Christmas, and then we'll see if we can do something before we go to Vegas.
Oh, nice. That'll be fantastic. Just keep in contact with Jess.
Yep. We'll arrange.
He's our communications guy.
Yeah, we'll do something before Christmas, and then the squad's going over the preseason bit, and then hopefully we can do something before Vegas.
Flanno, can I just clear something up, mate? Did Michael Carianis, the St George supporter, Journo, really say that we were going to come last? Was it last year or whatever? He keeps us saying second last.
Yeah, I think he might have. I've always kept him honest on it as well. I think he might have.
Yeah. I love it. I love it, Flanno.
It's that reverse psychology that he's doing. That's what he's doing. Reverse psychology. Yeah. Again, thanks, Shane, for coming on. You've been an absolute pleasure. Absolutely fantastic. Thanks for everybody watching. We've had 150 odd people.
We've got 130 in the chat.
That's the best we've ever had. If you like the show, smash that like button, share and subscribe. See you in Las Vegas. We'll see you before then, I hope. Red V's a part of me. Dragons for life. And with everybody saying, come on, guys. Come on, Dragons.
Come on, Giants fans.
Coco is at Pell's heart, she wears it on her sleeve. As Mustard tells tales of Dragons wins and tuna victory. Tony and the NB crew will do their very best. Hitting up topic and I digress with a red V on our chest. The Mad Dragons Vodcast is a sheep of camaraderie. Navigating rants down rabbit holes in the land of big wet feet. And so our peddlers weave the tales and our pursuit is our dream. The Mad Dragon Vodcast,